Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and for this video, we're going to be talking about 7 more harsh opinions I have about Galaxy of Heroes. However, we're going to do this a little bit differently than the other ones, where for this video, I want to more so look at like things in the game that like CG does that I have harsh opinions about. Again, I don't want you guys to think, like, I try to do positive content, just sometimes I need to vent. There are things I've seen lately that... I shouldn't say lately. There's just been some things lately that are kind of piling, that straw on the camel's back that I really think they need to take a hard look at because players, again, are just constantly complaining about some of these things. So let's dive right into this list, guys. Here we go. 7 more harsh opinions. Power creep is the first one. Power creep is awful. Now, it is a part of games like this that as newer characters get released, power creep is going to happen. However, I'm not even talking about like the third sister Garbanzo Beans that's happening right now. We need to talk about characters like Grand Admiral Thrawn and Piet. So here is my Thrawn. My Thrawn has 3 protection mods on him, right? On the triangle, the cross, and the circle. He has 73,000 protection. Now my Piet has 83,000 protection, except he's got a crit damage triangle, an offense cross, and a protection circle. So he's got 1 protection mod and has 10,000 more protection than my Thrawn, who has 3 protection mods. That, to me, is the power creep that's really ruining this game. It's not that, like, yes, new characters are going to have new abilities. That's just the way it works. The stats, to me, are what are driving some of those older characters just into, like, fading away. That unless relics really help the characters boost stats, they just can't compete. Like, Grand Admiral Thrawn is a great character. But Piet having that much more protection than him is absurd. And especially for how little I've put into Piet's mods there, right? I mean, it's mind-boggling to me. And all you'd need to do with Thrawn is just give him a slight boost. Just say, hey, you know what? We released this character when, back in the day, this was an acceptable level for his health and protection to be at. Now, it's not. So I think looking at some of those characters and saying that the power creep with is fine, as long as their stats are getting updated along the way. And you don't need to make them crazy good, right? Like, Thrawn doesn't need to have 130,000 protection and, 140,000 health. Like, doesn't need to be that insane. But give him some boosts. At least make it competitive between those 2 characters in terms of protection. Especially when, the one on Piet, it's brutal. And Piet really isn't getting all that much from the Relic 9. Like, he got an extra, 9k protection. So you'd say, okay, they've got the same protection pool, right? Fine. So they have the same amount of protection, but Thrawn is getting he's getting 40% more protection and is getting the same, I really think that it's poor, right? That to me is poor. They need to fix that. All right, next are territory wars. So the territory wars rewards are just garbage to me. They have been for a long time. I don't think there's enough of a difference between winning and losing that you really want to care that much. There's like a couple of things that your droid brains or arrow magnifiers at times can be, significant between winning and losing, but most of the time it's not a big deal. I do understand a lot of guilds love territory wars, and my hat is off to you, right? We salute you. But for most players, the juice is not worth the squeeze because there's no individualized rewards. So if my guild is crushing territory wars, I don't bother. There's no point for me to play if my guild's crushing it. And if my guild is getting crushed and we just don't have a prayer, there's no incentive for me to play. Because I'm going to get rewards as long as I score enough banners. If you put rewards in place that, hey, you could earn, 10 crystals every time you win on offense. For every offensive banner, you're going to get a crystal. For every time you get a defensive hold, you get 10 crystals. Like, you put something in there to give us incentives to attack and, get defensive holds. I think it'd be amazing. That would be a small change that could be significant to this game and get people to invest more in territory wars. And I have 3 characters here who, have Omicrons. And this is just, slightly, why. I say this, I gave Boba Fett Sign of Django 1, just because I had him at Relic 7, and why not, right? It is what it is. But, Mara Jade and Juhani, as good as they are, I don't see, my guild could benefit from them 100%. But for my own account right now, they're of no it's not of enough benefit for me. And that's unfortunate, right? Maybe shame on me being bad guild member. I care more about territory battles than I do territory wars. So it is what it is. But again, like if you up the rewards, I would care a lot more about it. Next, we've got Grind Quest, right? When Conquest first released, I was so excited. I was so excited. It was really a breath of fresh air, right? That you could play the game a little bit more, and it was exciting, and like there were fun modifiers that like the data discs. There were fun data discs that you could equip, right? That you could really do some cool things, and then they took all those away, right? If you guys remember like deployable cooldown systems back in the day, yes, was it a little bit crazy that Vader could just always be in Merciless Massacre? But that was the whole fun of deployable cooldown systems. That was so much fun to do that. I had more fun playing, that than I did other game modes because you just, you could. And I really think they need to get back to those roots where now it's every single one is you've got to do 40 battles with this faction, 40 battles with that faction, 20 here, 20 there, 14 in every single sector. And it's overwhelming. It's so many battles that are constrained to these specific faction feats. And then you've got, throwing your Inquisitors, your Tuscans. I mean, Ransom was in the last Conquest for Trench. And the reason I have a problem with that one, right, is that's only Hondo. Only Hondo has Ransom. And I don't care if they're like, oh, you can do it with a Relic 8 or a Gear 8 Hondo. That's not the point. The point is you made a feat that is specific to one single character, right? And that's like just like the boss feats where it's like defeat this with Grand Inquisitor or Commander Ahsoka Tano or Jedi Master Kenobi. I don't like those because I think that you're punishing players. You're being too punishing of players for not having a specific character. That is my opinion on Conquest. Like, it is too much of a grind now for most players to really want to invest in it heavily because if you don't have a certain number of things, you cannot get the max crate. So how do you fix that, right? Like, what do you do? I think you've got to lessen the amount of battles and simply just make it more about having a broader roster rather than having like certain narrow factions built up across for, 2 months in a row. I don't know, but it's a grind, and I think it's really draining a lot of players. All right, we've got Galactic Legends. Not all are created equal. You guys knew this had to be coming, right? And this is a very harsh opinion of mine, but it's not that like all Galactic Legends are created equal. I don't really have a problem with that per se. It's that they're also not given the same benefits for Datacrons as each other. Like, I didn't think Jedi Master Kenobi's Datacron set was, I don't know, it wasn't the greatest Datacron set, right? That stun thing, it was kind of cool. He could get ultimate charge faster at times. Like, that was kind of cool. But, like, I don't know. I didn't think that his Datacron set was as revolutionary as, say, Jabba's was. Or even, like, Sith Eternal's Datacron set was unbelievably good, where he could get ultimate charge for having, like, all these Sith allies. That was amazing, right? Like, that was a fantastic Datacron for him. Or another one, Lord Vader's, that was, everybody knows what that was like. That was ridiculous. But, like, the Galactic Legends, they're not all created equal, and they're not all treated equally. And I think that's where I have a problem. That, like Sith Eternal, you guys know I rag on him all the time. He was my first Galactic Legend. I've used him so much, like I can't, and again, that was at a very different time in the game. But do something to make them a little bit more equal, because they're all significant characters. And I think that there's been like extreme favoritism towards certain Galactic Legends at times that I don't know. I do get frustrated because I think that there could be a lot more things to do to make this game have more consistency between Galactic Legends. Add in some events where, Sith Eternal's actually decent. You guys love putting feats for like Kenobi, right? Like Lord Vader's in the new TV. Like, what about like Rey? Like, where's she got Ben Solo, but she's not like what? I don't know. Maybe this is not as much of a harsh opinion, but I don't know. I feel like not all Galactic Legends have really had their time to shine as the greatest thing in the game. And that's a problem to me. That they're not all created equal, they're not all treated equal, and until that happens to me, I don't know. Maybe that's woke of me. I have a woke Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes opinion that they should all be equal, but they should be, relatively competitive with each other. All right, guys, we have to take this moment and praise our king, Wampa. You guys know the drill. We want this channel to hit 5,000 subscribers, and I need your help to do it, right? If this channel hits 5,000, Wampa hits Relic 8 on a special live stream, guys. Make sure you guys tune in for that. I will let everybody know. Make sure you ding that notification bell, so if I do have live streams before that, you can go ahead and join that up. But yeah, guys, Wampa, he's not always in your team, but he's always right here in your heart. So here's the situation with me, right? With Wampa, like, why is he here? This has to do with GAC. And there's two gripes I have about GAC. Number one, I think even just the current skill rating system is broken. And I think matchmaking is broken because of the skill rating. Here's why I say that. They're going to put you into a group of 8 players, right? You go into a group of 8 players. You then will face 3 of those potential, 7 other opponents. You'll face 3 of them. So depending what 3 you face, you could be on the easy side of the bracket and get your way to the championship, or you could be on the tough side of the bracket and go 0-3. But your skill rating said that you were just as good as the rest of those 7 opponents, right? So now you win one of those matches, you're a rating above those guys. You win 2 of those matches, you're 2 ratings above, and then say you lose one, right? Now you're 1 rating above those, right? Like you're 1 rating above where you were. But that's not really the right way that should work, because you're facing people who are at that same skill level, right? And bumping you up to a whole different skill level because you won a single match against somebody who's supposed to be as good as you is not a fair judge of character, right? That's not a fair judge of a player's skill rating. What I think you do is, 1, expand that to a group of 10 players. Instead of 8, you make it 10. And then you have 9 matches, like we do right now, right? You have 3 rounds of 3 matches, 9 total in a month. You do that same thing just in a group of 10 players. Everybody was at the same skill rating at the start of it. You go and play through, right? You go and play through that. Now, at the end of that, let's say I go 9-0. For some reason, I go 9-0. I'm then going to be placed into a bracket of other players who started at the same place as me who went 9-0. Let's say somehow I go 9-0 again. My next bracket, right, would be 10 other players who've gone 18-0 in that period of time. Then, as that progresses, you're going to start facing opponents who have that same rating as you over that period of time. And that way, instead of this, you're doing this and up and down and up and down, you're going to find that group of players that's going to keep you at that, 500 level, which is what they want. So then you say, oh, well, eventually skill ratings are going to become where they are now. Correct. Which is why I think when the Datacron sets expire, right, when like your major Datacron set expires, all you do is you reset the GAC. You send it back to where it was and you restart. That way you're not letting somebody who was able to win a couple of matches early on, get hurt later on down the road too much against players that they shouldn't have to face. Because the whole GAC matchmaking is designed to have you win as many as you lose, which is all fine and dandy, except that the way they're doing it is ensuring that guys can fall all the way from Kyber 1 down to Carbonite 5. And that guys from, say, Kyber 5, you could theoretically climb up into Kyber 1, but you probably won't get there because you're going to face opponents who have so much more of a roster than you and are very good players at a certain point, and they're going to knock you down. So, I don't know. The GAC matchmaking, maybe I've ranted too much, I don't know. It's flawed. I don't have a problem with losing. I have a problem when you force losses through matchmaking rather than finding an opponent who's just better than me. That's the argument I make. Make us lose to people who are better than us, not just somebody who has, 3 more, 4 more, 5 more Galactic Legends than you. There we go. That's a better way to say it. I just ranted about it for 3 minutes anyway. Ally points are dumb. This is a fantastic, this is a great thing. So they haven't updated Bronzium packs in forever, right? And the ally point system to me, it used to mean so much more. Now it's just like me buying Datacron stuff with it, but they really are just like the most dumb thing on earth. Expand them a little bit, update the Bronziums, give us ways to get other things with them than just Datacrons. I think you could throw in, there's the weekly shipments, but there's not enough stuff in there. give us some other ways to use them, or make them used for something. I don't know. I feel like they're this currency that you either, like, that players use a little bit. I don't know. There's not enough ways to use them and to get through them that it's worth the time. And I think that's a huge point that you're missing. It's a huge area of this game that could be updated, that could get players excited about playing and using those ally points. I don't know, but they're dumb. They need an update. I don't know that I have all the answers, but update Bronzium cards and say, you know what? We'll allow you to spend 10 at a time. Or hey, you can buy this, pack for 2,500 Bronzium points, and you can get XYZ gear. You can get a higher level of gear or better character shards. Do something. Just make them a little bit more usable. All right, and then the last thing I have here, this might be a bit harsh, but just a little bit of honesty, a little bit more honesty from our development team would be really nice. And I'm not at all knocking on Meathead and Crumb, right? They simply communicate what they're told, right? They're community managers. They have limits to what they can say. But it'd be really nice if they, like with Datacrons, that they were not instilled to, refresh the meta, to make money. Just come out and say that, right? Just say, hey, you know what? We had a talk. They want us to find some ways to, increase monetization. So we tried to find a way that could increase monetization while also ensuring that, players who aren't spending money can still make progress towards it. Like, don't just sit there and be like, oh, this will be fun and exciting and, free to play will have just as much as, like, no. Just tell us that it's for monetization, right? I would not care if Capital Games came out and said that. And if you do care that they would come out and say we did this for money, then you don't understand that without money, this game doesn't exist. So I have no problem with decisions in this game being driven by, monetization, by monetary gain. I just want them to own up to it. Just give us that little bit of honesty. It reminds me of, there's two stories I'll tell, right? You guys got to have, Fat Phil's got to tell some funny stories, right? So when I was in college, the college I went to, they changed their dining plan. And basically they were like, oh, it's to give students more options and, give them, refresh their, ways to have food across campus. Really, it was a way for them to make more money because the dining plan was a lot worse. They 100% gave you more options, but there wasn't enough money on the card to actually eat at what they would cost you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the dining hall. There wasn't enough money on the card to get you through the entire semester if you ate 3 meals a day. And that was that was the point that we all stuck with, was that this is a way for you to make more money. And, Capital Games, it's a way for you to make more money. And then the last one I'll say was my dad and I, we were we were on a college campus somewhere. We were walking through on our way to something. I think it was might have been UPenn. We were in Philadelphia. And there's these guys, and they're sitting by this stand, and they're like, oh, donate to help, build wells in Africa or something. And, I mean, they probably were there collecting money for that. But my dad just looks at me as we're walking by, and he's like, man, if you want me to, give you money for your keg party, just tell me and I will. Don't say it's for building wells in Africa when you're going to go buy a keg down the road. And I don't know, that's always stuck with me. It's a pretty funny story, right? But it's a little bit of honesty. If you just told us flat out, hey, we're trying to get a keg, I don't know, here's $5. And not that you shouldn't, give to charity. It's more so just, the whole aspect is the honesty, right? Just be honest, guys. That's all we're asking for. Again, maybe I'm nitpicking. Maybe these are definitely a bit harsh, but I think these are all things that could make the game a little bit better. And again, just to go back, we're going to, the power creep, right? I understand it's a part of the game. Just update the stats. That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying you need to give Thrawn any more abilities. Just update his stats a little bit to keep him current. Territory rewards are trash. We need more ways to engage in territory wars, even when you're winning by a lot or losing by a lot. Conquest, it's a grind, and it's a little bit too much of a grind that I think it's alienating large parts of the player base from really investing in it because it's just so time-consuming. Again, Galactic Legends, yes, they're not all created equal, but give them their time in the sun, whether it's through Datacrons, special events, whatever. Jabba's getting so much love right now, And again, I'm perfectly fine with that as long as down the road other Galactic Legends get that same level of love. Again, guys, Grand Arena, our King Wampa, just the matchmaking is really atrocious right now. I think we need a hard reset. I think there's some things they could do to change the skill rating. I mean, that's a video all in itself, and I've talked about it, but I need to get it out here again. Ally points need looked at. They're just dumb. We need more ways to spend them and on better things. I really think that they need a hardcore look at because they've been in the game since launch and have never really gotten any better. And then finally, guys, just a little bit more honesty from CG. I don't care if you say you need to make money. I'm all for you guys making money. Just admit that that's what you're trying to do. That's the video for today, guys. Hopefully it's not too much of a downer. Again, I love this game. I don't want you to think that I'm going to sit here and think that everything CG does is bad because they've done a lot of really good things. They really have. But this video, just a couple of things that I'm frustrated about. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are down below. As always, smash that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, and hit the bell for notifications. That way, if I do go live, which is normally going to be later at night, you guys can get notified. I love all of you. May the force be with you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.